Hi there, it's Alan Smith, head of Sky Sports Boxing, and you're watching Lights Out.
This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law. Delighted to be joined by the heavyweight sensation from Newcastle, Drago, Steve Robinson. Steve, good afternoon to you, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you? You good? Good New Year?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Happy New Year to yourself. First of all, you just told me that you've come back from a sparring session with Hughie Fury. How did the sparring session with Hughie go?
Yeah, good. So we've been, obviously, last year when Hughie was fighting Marius Wack, I was down there for 3 months for the full preparation of that camp. And it looks like, obviously, me and Hughie are both signed with Sky, as well as Savannah, as well as April, as well as Georgia. So there's 5 or 6 of them between the two gyms that are signed with Sky Sports and Boxer. So it looks like we're both going to be out sometime. The full team are going to be out sometime in March. So we're starting camp and getting Hughie and what have you ready for that. So it was good. Both of our first bars back for a while.
Let's just talk about a bit how the year ended for you last year. You just mentioned you signed up with Sky and Boxer. You fought on the same card as Hughie Fury in Manchester. So it was a busy end to last year for you. But how happy were you to finally get back in the ring and obviously commit to that long-term deal with Sky and Boxer?
Yeah, really, really happy. Obviously, it was a long time coming. I mean, February last year, I had give up. I had give up everything, with COVID and what have you, and it was getting harder and harder. And this Sky deal was meant to be sort of nearly 2 years ago, but Matchroom still had contract with Sky. They still had a 5-fight deal. So this Sky deal, was meant to have happened a long time ago. And then COVID come, Matchroom still had shows, and then I had sort of went away from that. And then I had been contacted off Black Flash Promotions. Barrett contacted, and I was going to be signing with them in July, but then obviously, fortunately, the Sky deal come back in after COVID started to relax a little bit. We're looking to be back out in December, so I would have fought in October. Then December, they had plans just to get too quickly out the way. And obviously, again, COVID come along. Williams had an injury. It was meant to be on the Eubank of that card, so then that was changed to January. Then the British Boxing Board cancelled all fights in January. So it's been a little bit up and down, but that's not Sky Sports or Boxer's fault. That's due to Corona and due to pull out. So I'm just looking forward to getting back out on the 5th of February, back out in Cardiff on the Eubank undercard and showcasing again what I'm about.
Yeah, it's a big card, the Eubank Williams card in Cardiff. I'm not too sure about when the date's been finalised for that fight, but how important is it that you put on a very, very impressive performance, given the fact that it's on such a huge card like Eubank versus Williams, and the fact that it's also a box office event as well?
Yeah, it's for me. All I can do is everything happens in the gym. There's a perfect expression of train hard, fight easy, and I can guarantee there's not a heavyweight out there who's training harder than me. And I know once I step through them ropes, I've done all the training, I've done everything I can to make sure that on the night I'm going to give 110%. So, listen, I know if you're on my left or my right lines, you're getting put to sleep. But what I need to do is make sure that I do that technically. I don't go looking for the knockout unless I see it. And, I need it. I've fought 4 fights. Unfortunately, I had 3 back-to-back, and I've pretty much fought for around about 6 minutes. So realistically, although I boxed at a high-level amateur for GB and for England, I still have so much learning to do. But I need to step it up quick because of COVID, because of the last 2 years. So I'm 30 now, so I'm not naive to think that I've got another 15 years in the tank, but I'm ready to step up, and you know the commitment's there, and I know where I want to be and when I want to be there.
As you just mentioned, you're 30 years of age. You know, you're part of a very exciting division, but your path might be a bit different given the fact that you are 30 years old. Am I right to say that perhaps within the next 6 months or the next 18 months, you might be looking at perhaps challenging for the British title and getting in some true 50-50 fights with the likes of the Alan Babbages, the Solomon Dakers, you know, these sort of fighters that have come across at a late age? Would you say that's the path that you'd want to see yourself on?
Yeah, I think for me, you know, age is just a number now. And if you live the sport, you breathe the sport, you train right, you eat right, you know, I think you're not sort of back 5-6 years ago, you know, you look back at football 15, 20 years ago, and you look at the likes of Ryan Giggs and, you know, the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Ibrahimovic still playing at the top of the game at 38, 39. And that wasn't something that you seen. But as time goes on, we, you know, us as humans, we're sort of don't. We used to peak at the age of 26, 27. Now we're peaking at 33, 34, especially at heavyweight. So 100% expect to be fighting for some sort of title, whether it be a Commonwealth or European. You know, I definitely want to be there within the next 12 months. If I'm not, you know, what I do in the sport for, if I don't believe in myself and I don't believe in what I can achieve, then there's absolutely no point putting in the commitment that I'm putting in.
You're a Newcastle lad. You're a Geordie lad. I've been to Newcastle. It's a city that's got full of energy. You know, there's a lot of buzz and excitement behind it. You know, you've obviously got Newcastle United Football Club that are on a new adventure with the new owners, and if you know in the next 2-3 years things are as people say they are, they might just be challenging for winning Premier Leagues. But boxing's a sport that's really taken off over the last few years in Newcastle. You've obviously got Lewis Ritson there as well, and you mentioned the show that you featured on before the start of the year. But now we've got a heavyweight sensation from Newcastle. Just how excited are you to be representing the city of Newcastle, but also as a heavyweight boxer who's been nicknamed Drago as well? Because I mean, Rocky IV, everybody knows the famous Ivan Drago. You look a lot like Dolph Lundgren. You know, really exciting times for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, you've just hit the nail on the head with Newcastle. It's a city with boxing, with football, that has been overlooked for the last sort of 10, 15 years. Nobody wants to see Newcastle people do well, and I don't know why. You know, you've just said it's such a proud nation, such a proud city. You know, you look at what's happening in Newcastle at the minute. You've got, you know, you've just signed the Luke and Pat McCormick twins. You know, they're Olympians. Callum French has just signed with Matchroom. He's another one who was in the JV squad. Then we've got Savannah Marshall, we've got Lewis Ritson, you've got myself, and then you've got the likes of Joe Laws. You know, even on the smaller home shows, you've got Robert Ismay, who's a 10-0, who's working his way up. And Propelling them are coming up, and you know they've just done a big show up here, and with Ricky Burns and Lewis Ritson, and you've obviously with Sky, with Propelling them, with MTK, with all these, as a town, we should be taking over boxing. I genuinely believe that we can do that. For me to be part of this at this time, especially with what's going on in the Northeast with the takeover and what have you, it's a fantastic time to be part of any sport within the Northeast, and it's a proud time to be part of it, you know. And it's great that everybody is behind everybody in Newcastle. There's nobody who, you know, there's nobody who will badmouth another boxer who will have anything bad to say. All we want to do is see people do well, see people succeed within the Northeast, and you know, there's no reason why we can't become.
When speaking to Adam Smith a couple of months ago, he spoke about Newcastle being perhaps one of the cities that they really do want to, you know, stamp their authority on in terms of bringing more boxing to the city of Newcastle. And he said that a main ambition for him is to get that big fight in the women's side of boxing between Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields at St. James's Park, which I personally think would be a phenomenal spectacle if it does happen. You know, Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields, if it does happen in Newcastle, one place it has to happen is definitely in St. James's Park. I've been there myself. I know how much of an electric atmosphere it has. But what would it mean for you to step out in front of St. James's Park?
I mean, yeah, can't even start to describe. I remember being 15, 16, I think, and it was the FA Youth Cup semi-final, and I remember playing at St James's Park because before I boxed, I played at a high level of football over in Hong Kong and America. And when I was a youth, I was at Leeds Academy, and I remember playing there, and there was probably about 150 people in the stand, and it was just, I'll never forget being on that pitch and just looking up, thinking, wow, if this was my job to do this weekly, and I'll never forget that experience, and to be walking out to St James's Park, in front of 52,000 people, boxing fans, and be on a card would just be unbelievable. It would just tick off a box of my bucket list, and to say that I've done that would be a very proud moment for me, myself, my family, and just every ordinary kid out there who has a dream, who wants to do something with their life. It might kick them up the arse to say, actually, I'm going to go and do something. He started late. He didn't come into boxing with no background. Why can't I do it?
Well, listen, it'd definitely be exciting to see some boxing take place at St James's Park. Like I said, I've been there myself. I know how passionate the Newcastle fans are. And if you put yourself and a few other Newcastle fighters on an undercard of a fight such as Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields, which is arguably one of the biggest fights in female boxing history of all time, it definitely makes for an exciting night of boxing. Steve, I just want to get your thoughts on this current WBC 80-20 split situation that we've got with the current WBC World Heavyweight Champion Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. I know you're a fan of the heavyweight division. You're a heavyweight fighter, so you've definitely kept a close eye on the heavyweight division over the last few years. What's your take on Dillian Whyte being offered a 20% split if he was to take the fight with Tyson Fury?
But for me, it's changed from 55 to 45. WBC, it's quite apparent they don't like Dillian Whyte. There's no denying that. But see, for me, it's still going to be Dillian Whyte's biggest purse that he's fought for. And as a fighter, and it's hard because fighting is a business, and you're a fighter and you want to fight, but at the same time, it's a business. We realise that it's a short-term game. We're not going to be in the game long. So all we want to do is get as many assets, get as much money out of the sport in a short amount of time that we can. And, that's that. So as a fighter, I'll sit and say, well, Dillian Whyte should 100% take it and have belief in himself that he's going to win that belt, and then he's in an 80-20 split for the next fight. As a fighter, that's my opinion. I'm going to sit and say, well, why is Dillian Whyte believing in himself? And then the next time he defends it, he's in the 80% bracket, and the person who's fighting him is in the 20% bracket. As a businessman, it's absolutely disgraceful that changed it from 55-45, then they changed it to 60-40, and to an 80-20 split. It's an absolute disgrace, but at the same time, what you're looking at, are you looking from a fighter's perspective or a business perspective? Personally, as a fighter, I'd be happy with that. It would still be his biggest purse, and I'd be thinking, well, I'm going to take them belts, and then I'm in the upper hand of the 80-20 split. But that's me. That's my opinion. Is it right? Not, no, but should he still take the fight and put his pride to one side and just say, right, okay, I'll fight you from an 80-20 split and still get my biggest purse and still look at bringing them titles back and being on the upper hand next time? Then I think it's a fight that he should 100% take, in my opinion.
Well, listen, it's a fight that everybody wants to see, and I think it's one of the top 5 fights in the heavyweight division right now, and I really do hope that the situation can get sorted as soon as possible. We can get an announcement, because if not an undisputed clash between Fury and Usyk, there's 2 other fights you'd want to see, which is Fury versus Joshua or Fury versus Whyte. But if the fight between Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte does happen, what's your prediction for that fight?
You know what it is. For me, I can't see anybody coming close to Tyson Fury. I think he is an absolute unnatural human at the sport. Even Usyk is an unbelievable, phenomenal boxer, but The thing is with Tyson Fury, there is absolutely nothing you can take from his last fight or his fight before where you think, okay, I'm going to learn that because this is what he does, because every single fight's different. He knew after his first and second fight with Deontay Wilder, he knew he had to bully him, come on the front foot, put on weight, grab him, throw him around, jab him, grab him. Was it the most technical fight that I've ever seen? No. But did he get them titles back? Yes. And that's what Tyson Fury does. He gets into your head before the fight even starts. We've seen it against Klitschko. We've seen it against David Haye. David Haye didn't even end up fighting him. We've seen it with Anthony Joshua, and obviously that fight hasn't happened. He's just an unbelievable master of the sport. Personally, I think, yes, he's been down. He's been down a few times in his career. And Dillian Whyte hits phenomenally hard, no doubt. But as a boxing man and as a science, you know, it's a science. I think there's nobody comes close to Tyson Fury for me.
This heavyweight division has been absolutely blessed to have seen some of the fighters. You know, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Lennox Lewis. You know, the Klitschko brothers as well. We've seen some unbelievable heavyweights over the years. Mike Tyson as well, Evander Holyfield. You can carry on mentioning the names, but where would you rank Tyson Fury in terms of the elite list of heavyweights?
You can't say, because it's like, you know, I always have this argument with when people compare Pele to Messi or Pele to Ronaldo. It's like the balls were different, that, you know, the referees were different. There was so much that you got away from. You look at the average heavyweight now, you talk 19 stone. The average heavyweight back then was 15, 16 stone. If you're hitting 16 stone, you were heavy. Everything's adapted. Goalposts, you know, the footballs and football boots. So going back to boxing and back to football, comparing somebody in an olden time to, not an olden time, but an older boxer to somebody who's where we're at now. Everything's changed. You look at gyms now, you look at some of the machines that people are using, these oxygen masks, and you know, you don't see many boxers going on 10-mile runs now, because there's so many different ways to get their fitness up. And I think times have changed so much. I don't think you can really compare, you know, Tyson with Muhammad Ali, because of everything, sort of. Just the sheer size of Tyson and his ability and the way he switches so beautifully, and switches as he's attacking, as he's coming forward. He's hitting you with a double jab, then he's switching to southpaw and hitting you with a double jab again with his right hand, and then switching orthodox and coming around the side, and then he's pivoting you. So when you're turning with him, he's hitting you from a southpaw. It's just constant. It's relentless, and you can see it. Hughie's very similar to that. It's clearly a trait from Peter Fury, and you know, that's passed over, and John, that they're just relentless. They're constantly putting pressure on you, constantly making you think, they tire you out before you even realise that. You know, you might be able to do 10 rounds with somebody previous, then you could step in with them, 4 or 5 rounds in, and you've really, really blown out your arse and realise that you're in a war. And they both do it very well. And for me, I wouldn't like to say Tyson Fury would beat Muhammad Ali, or Muhammad Ali would beat Mike Tyson would beat. But you know, looking a bit further on, I would love to see the prime Klitschko or a prime Lennox Lewis versus Tyson Fury, to see where they were at. But again, I think Tyson Fury beats a prime Lennox Lewis, and I think Tyson Fury beats a prime Klitschko as well.
You definitely would have a taste for matchmaking, that's for sure. I think a lot of people would like to see a prime Lennox Lewis versus a prime Tyson Fury, but listen, it's very unlikely it'll happen, but I'm sure it would have been a very entertaining fight if it did. Steve, before I let you go, what can the boxing fans expect of you this year in 2022?
We've had a good conversation with Sky. I'm fighting on the 5th of February in Cardiff. I'm fighting in March. Back to back, two fights back to back, and I've said to Sky I want 6 by the year's out. Touch wood that, you know, I'm injury permitting, and you know, everything's great. And like I say, I live and breathe the sport, and if I can get 6 by the end of the year, take it to 10-0, and then by the start of 2023, I want to be looking at that English title or a Commonwealth or a British or an interim title. You know, and it's all good to say that. You know, like I say, we don't know what's around the corner with COVID or what have you, or injuries. But for me, I'm just every day I wake up blessed that I'm in the position I'm in, because I come from absolute. You know, I remember the night after my fight, I come home in my council house, put on my telly that I'm paying for monthly from Little Road, and watching myself on Sky Sports. It was absolutely surreal to come home to, you know, to a Pebble council house and watch a TV that you're paying for monthly yourself on Sky Sports. And you know, I was co-headlining with Savannah Marshall, 10 p.m. slot, the mains. It's every single day I wake up and I think, wow, I am in this position. And every fight, I'm blessed to be in this position. And starting the sport late, just doing it because I had a football injury. I failed at football, realised I was never going to make it. And I started boxing when I was 24 years old, walked into a gym and thought, I've had an injury, I'm fat, can you help us lose some weight? What's the best thing? Boxing coach said, start boxercise. And that's how it started. And from that, I've sparred, you know, some of the world's best fighters in the world. Anthony Joshua had 3 belts at the time I sparred him. Obviously, you know, every day is a dream, another dream past. So I'm just doing it for that ordinary person out there. And as I say, I just want to make people believe in themselves. And I think there's going to be a big 2022 coming, and hopefully everything fits into place.
Well, it's definitely a very inspiring story, and one thing's for sure, I'll definitely look forward to seeing you in Cardiff and sit down with you, maybe talk to you more about what happened with you in your football days. And
yeah,
we'll definitely look forward to catching up with you in Cardiff. Fingers crossed, as if the fight does go ahead and nothing goes wrong with you, and you know, no restrictions restrict us from not being able to attend the fight. But Steve, listen, mate, thank you very much for your time. I really
no, you're more than welcome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And we look forward to catching up with you hopefully in Cardiff in a few weeks.
Yes, fantastic.
And Steve Robinson, thank you very much for talking to Lights Out.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers.